This also goes on to demonstrate that Kashmiris are not isolated, because India tries to project them as the orphans of the world, that nobody listens to their voices. But participation of these MPs, powerful MPs, and I had the opportunity of meeting Mr. Chris Leslie, who is also the chairperson of the All Parties Parliamentary Group and works very actively on Kashmir. I think their participation is a testimony to the support that the Kashmiris are getting. Today, on this occasion, I strongly condemn human rights violations and crimes against humanity, tantamount to genocide and ethnic cleansing, being perpetrated in the Indian-occupied Kashmir by the Indian occupation forces. I strongly condemn killings of 14 people in the last 36 hours in Shopian and in the neighborhood of Srinagar. These killings are a direct result of the brutal cordon and search operations and also firing on the demonstrators. India is frustrated because tens of thousands of Kashmiris, after such killings, choose to come to the streets and squares of the Indian-occupied Kashmir and say very loudly and clearly, what do we don't want? Freedom. And then they say, leave India, leave our Kashmir. Over the past 36 hours, India has also used pellet guns at peaceful demonstrators, and many people have been blinded. Dr. Gilani has rightly said that these kinds of crimes, crimes against humanity, include forced transfers of populations, and this is a violation of the Geneva Conventions and of the treaties which prohibit changes in demographic composition of an occupied territory. The other dimension of the so-called bilateral issue is that India tries to give the impression that this is an issue which would be resolved by India and Pakistan, by Delhi and Islamabad, and not by the United Nations, and that there would be no third-party involvement. This too is not true. In fact, the United Nations Security Council, the international community, directly or indirectly, is involved in the resolution of the Jammu and Kashmir dispute. So this is a myth that needs to be challenged and quashed. Dr. Gilani mentioned this, and I want to highlight this aspect. Indians usually start campaigns and try to enlist Kashmiris and Pakistanis to give them a guilt trip that it was Pakistan basically, back in 1947, which did not implement the first ever resolution on the withdrawal of troops by Pakistan from our South Kashmir. And that's why the UN Security Council resolutions could not be implemented. And this is not true, because in 1952, Resolution 98 clearly said that there would be proportionate withdrawal of the troops, and the minimum limit for Pakistan was 3,000 to 6,000 troops, and for India it was 12,000 to 18,000 troops on both sides of Kashmir. And India wanted, as a matter of fact, sequential withdrawal. They said Pakistan should withdraw first, and then India would withdraw, but Pakistan was wise, and it said, no, we will do it simultaneously. And that founded, that the whole proposition founded on India's antagonism and opposition. I would also like to say very clearly and loudly and categorically that there is no terrorism in Kashmir. There is terrorism, there is state terrorism by India, but the Kashmiris themselves are no terrorists, and they are the most unarmed people on earth. They are the most undefended people on earth. India also tries to give the impression that it's a complex issue, that India is too big, that Pakistan doesn't have the capacity or the wherewithal to confront India. Again, not true. I have reminded people of the might of the United Kingdom in 1918, and where's the United Kingdom now? Now, where would India be after 50 years? We don't know. So we would not capitulate because of India's perceived might, because our cause is just and will continue to persevere until we get our right to self-determination. Let me also tell you that there is absolutely no infiltration across the LOC from the Azad Kashmir or from the Pakistani side. This is again a myth. Yes, there were crossings back in the 1990s, but there are no more crossings there. And India boasts that it has made the LOC impregnable for any kind, against any kind of infiltration. The reason I have alluded to these myths is that India uses them in the media, abroad, in the European Parliament, in the United Kingdom, in North America, to propagate its narrative. And it presents itself as a victim and projects Kashmiris as the victimizers. And therefore it is important for all of us to know these facts. Now, I want to complain to the West, to the international community at large, that by and large, whenever I go to different capitals or different forums, they have switched off on Kashmir. They hear you out politely, but their responses are cosmetic and non-substantive. And this is a tragedy of our times. And this is because of these countries' strategic and economic interests tied up with the so-called emerging India. Yes, we understand that. We understand the logic of realpolitik. But beyond that is the logic of human rights and human values and the right to life and the dynamics of the new international order that we put together after the Second World War. So my appeal to the international community is through this platform, from this platform, is don't try to treat Kashmiris as pariahs. They are victims of the most horrendous crimes on this earth. So your sympathies should lie with them. Compared to other regions of Pakistan, crime is everywhere in the world. Azad Kashmir has the least rate of crime. By the way, it has completed all the districts of Pakistan and Azad Kashmir. In fact, Azad Kashmir has outcompeted all the districts of Pakistan in educational score. And that includes enrollment, retention of students, gender parity, and learning. My final message is, one-liners as a matter of fact. Kashmir movement is a peaceful movement. India cannot resolve the issue of Jammu and Kashmir by use of state terrorism. We will continue to persevere in our efforts to resolve this issue through dialogue and diplomacy. Kashmiris, make no mistake about it, Kashmiris will not capitulate, surrender, or abandon their stance on their right to self-determination under any circumstances. And my final thought is that Kashmiris do not want Kashmir to become a nuclear flashpoint between India and Pakistan. We want Kashmir to be a symbol of connectivity and harmony between India and Pakistan and throughout South Asia. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen.
Please subscribe to HumSub.TV and hit the notification icon on the screen to get the latest updates of our channel. Thank you for watching HumSub.TV.